And a big focus this evening is on something that is nothing less than an anti-constitutional rant. And it comes from no less than a former chief minister and a union minister, the NC leader Farooq Abdullah, who has raked up the local versus outsider debate once again. In Srinagar today, he challenged the administrative policy of India and vowed to end the tradition of non-local SSPs and DMs in Jammu and Kashmir, a statement in complete violation of the Constitution of India. Remember, he is talking about gazetted officers of India who are posted all across the country based on eligibility and seniority, not on the regions that they are hailing from. Let's take a listen to that statement that Farooq Abdullah made today in Srinagar.
समझते थे कि 370 जो है वो सिर्फ कश्मीर के मुसलमानों के लिए है, मगर आज जम्मू के लोग भी ये समझने लगे हैं कि 370 उनके लिए सबसे बेहतरीन चीज थी, 35 उनके लिए सबसे बेहतरीन चीज थी। क्यों? क्योंकि उन्होंने देखा आज उनके बच्चे जो हैं उनको बच्चों को नौकरियां नहीं है, बाहर से आ रहे हैं। आज आप देखिए आपके दफ्तरों में कौन है, डीसी बाहर का, एसपी बाहर का, भी सारे बाहर के। क्या हमारे लोग जम्मू कश्मीर, हमारे जम्मू कश्मीर इतने बेकार लोग हैं, इतने पढ़े लिखे नहीं हैं, इस काबिल नहीं है कि वो ये काम कर सके, मगर हमें गुलाम बनाया जा रहा है, हमें गुलामी की तरफ ले जाया जा रहा है।
Now, postings and deployments of officers of administrative services are done based on their eligibility and ranks rather than the territorial affiliations that they are hailing from. For an example, like Officer Deepak Meena, who is from Rajasthan, is presently the DM in Meerut, while Pawan Kadian, who is a DM in Cooch Behar, hails from Haryana. And we can also go on to cite another example of a woman officer who is Priyanka Singla, who is a DM in West Bengal's Bardhaman district, but hails from Punjab. And through these statements that Farooq Abdullah has made, they end up becoming a misleading statement which is woven with lies to mislead the voters and create an ecosystem of outsider versus insider, which leaves the youth of the valley disillusioned. Well, this statement that the NC Supremo, the National Conference Supremo, has made has definitely raked up a storm, especially at a time when the outsider versus local issues was being dealt with more sensitively. This statement has definitely irked the people by and large when he is questioning the very posting which are enshrined in the Constitution of India. I'm joined by my colleague Sahil. Sahil, what do you make of this statement? Has there been any repercussions that Farooq Abdullah's statement has had to face? Because this definitely is against the Constitution. The postings are enshrined in the transfer posting rules that lies within the Constitution.
Well, in fact, this is certainly a strong statement coming out, in fact, from National Conference President, was in fact today re-elected as National Conference President, Dr. Farooq Abdullah, making such a statement. This, in fact, is certainly a shocking statement when, in fact, he is trying to kickstart this debate, local versus non-local. In this particular statement, he tried to tell the people that Article 370 was safeguarding their jobs and land here in Jammu and Kashmir. And initially, after the abrogation of Article 370, it was given to understand that it was only for Muslims. But the fact is that 370 was safeguarding other faiths as well. In fact, other people who were belonging to other faiths as well. Now, in fact, he went on to say that at the moment, the officers posted here in Kashmir or in Jammu and Kashmir are basically outsiders and non-locals. And now this statement is going to be a major controversy, given the fact that the all IAS and IPS officers who are currently posted in Jammu and Kashmir are posted under a system. They are, in fact, this is something which is a constitutional matter, and they are not posted just because the government of India has something in mind, and they do not trust Kashmiris. There are Kashmiri officers as well who are qualified IAS and IPS and have been allotted different cadres and are serving in states like Punjab, Rajasthan, and Haryana, or other states as well. So this statement, in fact, from Farooq Abdullah, in fact, to kickstart a debate between local versus non-local, we have already seen, because of this narrative, several killings have taken place in Kashmir Valley. In fact, we have seen Kashmiri Pandits or the employees belonging to other faiths have been targeted in Kashmir Valley. We have also seen time and again the terror outfits coming out with warnings and, in fact, suggesting that the non-local laborers, non-local employees or Kashmiri Pandits were here to take away jobs and land from Kashmiris. So this is something which is very dangerous and can turn to very dangerous for the people who are working here, who are serving Kashmiris for long, or who intend to come to Kashmir and serve, be it a businessman, an employee, or any officer. So certainly political parties will be reacting on this particular statement, wherein Farooq Abdullah has tried to kickstart this debate of non-local versus local. But this is something which local mainstream political parties, be it National Conference or PDP, they have been propagating this thing for last 2 years, and we have seen statements like these coming out now for the first time. Dr. Farooq Abdullah, in fact, made this statement where he, in fact, tried to tell the people that now, because of the abrogation of Article 370, non-local officers are coming and holding top chairs in Jammu and Kashmir, especially in Kashmir Valley, trying to push that narrative that to suggest that the Kashmiri officers, in fact, the officers from Jammu and Kashmir, were being sidelined and they are not being given those posts they deserve. In fact, we spoke to other National Conference leaders as well. In fact, Javed Rana, who's a former legislator.
No, well, Sahil,
and
thank you for joining us with all those details. But the National Conference veteran didn't stop at that. While he admitted that they made a blunder by boycotting the Panchayat polls, he went on to cast aspersions on the integrity of the armed forces, saying that they indulged in booth capturing and chased away voters from polling booth, with warning that too. Farooq Abdullah's statement drew sharp reactions from across political parties. Let's take a listen.
वो हर कुछ दिन बाद एक नया प्रोपेगेंडा शुरू करते हैं, एक नया बाउंडर खड़ा करते हैं। सच ये है कि वहाँ की पुलिस, वहाँ के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन लोकल्स के साथ कोऑपरेट करते हुए ही वहाँ पर काम करती है, परंतु उनको नया बाउंडर खड़ा, वो ये धमकी भी देते हैं, साथ कह रहे हैं कि अगर आप नहीं बदले तो वहाँ पे एक बड़ा भूचाल आएगा और उस भूचाल के बाद फिर सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा। भूचाल आ चुका है, वहाँ की जनता ने उनको वहाँ से उखाड़ फेंकना है, ये तय है। पहले भी जब वहाँ पर लोकल इलेक्शंस हुए थे, वहाँ पर भी ये सब इकट्ठे होकर लड़े थे, तब भी इनकी हालत ख़राब रही थी, और अभी वापस से वहाँ की जनता इनको ठीक जवाब देने वाली है और इनको मुँह की खानी पड़ेगी, इसलिए ये इस प्रकार के बयान देते हैं।
दो इलेक्शन थे, मैं डोडा गया, डोडा में एक गांव में पहुंचा जहां इलेक्शन देना था उनको, वहां वोटिंग मशीन रखी थी। वहां पे मैंने किसी को नहीं देखा, क्योंकि वो फौजी कैंप के अंदर उन्होंने वो मशीन रखी थी। और जब मैंने वहां पूछा यहाँ क्या हुआ, कहा यहाँ कोई आया नहीं। मैंने उससे पूछा क्या हुआ, लोग किधर गए? उन्होंने कहा इन लोगों ने, हमें फौजियों ने कहा, खबरदार मशीन के पास आओगे हम तुम्हारी टांगे तोड़ेंगे। आज मैं फौज से कहना चाहता हूं, खबरदार आप इलेक्शन में कोई ऐसा काम न करिएगा।
फारूक अब्दुल्ला जी द्वारा जो स्टेटमेंट आई है कि जो आर्मी द्वारा जिस प्रकार से बूथ के अंदर बैठ के वोट के ऊपर कैप्चरिंग की जाती है और जिताया जाता है, क्या फारूक अब्दुल्ला भूल गए कि अगर वो कश्मीर के अंदर सांस लेते हैं तो ये इस आर्मी के जवानों के कारण है, और पूरा देश जानता है कि हमारे जवान जो हैं सरहदों की रक्षा करते हैं, पर जिस एनसी के ये लीडरान हैं और जिस बलबूते पे ये जीतते थे, क्या आज इनको शक है अपने पे, और क्यों ये बदनाम करना चाहते हैं आर्मी के जवानों को? शर्म आनी चाहिए फारूक अब्दुल्ला को ऐसे बयान देते हुए।
फारूक अब्दुल्ला जी हमेशा ही दो तरह की बातें करते रहे हैं। वो दिल्ली जाते हैं एक बयान देते हैं, जम्मू आते हैं दूसरा बयान देते हैं, इसी तरह की राजनीति करते रहे हैं। और जिस तरह की आज उनकी स्टेटमेंट आई है और उन्होंने इलेक्शन को लेके जो आर्मी को लेके बयान दिया है, ये दर्शाता है कि शायद वो भी इतने वर्षों तक तभी राजनीति करते रहे हैं कि जहाँ पे कश्मीर में जो हम कहते रहे हैं कि जो इलेक्शन प्रोसेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के समय कांग्रेस के समय होता रहा, वो कहीं ना कहीं बराबर अच्छी तरह से नहीं होता होगा। तो ये उनकी मानसिकता को दर्शाता है। आज जिस तरह से धारा 370 और 35 से हटने के बाद जम्मू कश्मीर से उनकी पार्टी का सफाया हुआ है और आज लोग उनके साथ कहीं दिखाई नहीं दे रहे हैं। उनको लग रहा है कि अब उनका राजनीतिक कैरियर खत्म होने पे है।
And to discuss the anti-constitutional statement of Farooq Abdullah, I'm joined by our guest today evening, which is Abhijit Jasrotia, who's a spokesperson of BKP, Jammu and Kashmir, and an in-charge policy research. Also, I'm joined by a spokesperson from National Conference, Ifra Jan, and Colonel Dinny is also joining us, a defense expert. I'm also joined by Majid Hyderi, a political analyst. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time here on Mirror Now. But my first question will go across to you, Colonel Dinny. How do you see this statement when Mr. Farooq Abdullah is casting aspersions on the role and the integrity of the armed forces, saying that, they indulged in booth capturing, and also challenges the very constitution postings of these gazetted officers, where he is saying that the non-locals are being hired as DMs and SSP, while the locals are being overlooked. This is a statement that is absolutely anti-constitutional, since they have the policy on the transfer and posting enshrined in the very Constitution of India.
Firstly, ma'am, I'm not at all surprised by what Mr. Farooq Abdullah has said. And I have to today, convey a little bit of a political angle to it, because, of course, serving in Kashmir Valley, one has to be very careful about the political aspects, and otherwise you don't understand what is the ground reality there. And so, having been there about 7 to 8 years, I do understand what is the kind of political narrative which is there. So first of all, I believe that Mr. Farooq Abdullah's statement is for him to stay relevant here. He's taken over yet again as the president, so he wanted to make an impact, and what best, rather than have a go at the Indian army and the Indian administrative services. So therefore, he is back in the news. So that is what, as I see it, it is purely for him to stay relevant, and he also knows that his relevance was coming down by the day after the Article 370 was abrogated. Number one point. Number 2 point, as far as the Indian administrative service, the All India services, I think it's everybody understands that what kind of role the Indian administrative services play. Like, for example, the place where I am in, from Kerala, or the district where I am in Kollam, the lady IAS officer, Ms. Afsana Praveen, is from UP. So these kind of things happen, and it has been there throughout, even in Kashmir Valley. So there's nothing new. But what unfortunate is, I think Mr. Farooq Abdullah, they have thrived on this us versus them narrative. This is purely, and this is precisely why the common man, for a large part of time, when we go and interact with them, they never used to understand that India is one country, and the narrative constantly given was this us versus them. So this is a continuation to that. Regarding the role of army, let me be very clear that what is the role, or what is the sacrifices the Indian army has done in Kashmir. Everybody knows. I don't want to get into what exactly they have done. It is precisely because Indian army was there that lakhs of peoples, of Kashmiri youths and Kashmiri people's lives have been saved. It right from 1947 onwards, when the raiders had come in, from then on till date, as we speak today, there is the sacrifices of Indian army can never be written off, can never be undermined by the statement of these politicians. Now, second point which I wanted to say, that he said that there was rigging which has been done by the Indian. Let me just remind him what happened in March 1987, the elections between, at that time Mr. Farooq Abdullah was the chief minister. There was a constituency known as Amira Kadal in Srinagar. The election was between Ghulam Mohiuddin Shah from National Conference and Mohammad Yusuf Shah from the Muslim United Front. What happened? The Mohammad Yusuf Shah was winning in a landslide victory. Mr. Ghulam Mohiuddin Shah had left the polling booth and gone, but he was called back and he was made as the victorious person. And what did Dr. Farooq Abdullah's police do? They arrested Mohammad Yusuf Shah, And you know who became later? What did he turn into? He became Syed Salahuddin, the chief of Hizbul Mujahideen, and his manager. He was arrested, Mr. Mohammad Yasin Malik. So let's not,
No, so my question will now go across to Abhijit, who is the spokesperson of BKP in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Abhijit, how do you see this statement? Is this not a blatant lie to mislead the people of the valley by saying that the DMs, the SSP, all these postings and deployments are taking place deliberately when non-locals have been posted? And then he also goes on to promise that, you know, if they come to power, they are going to put an end to it. Is this not challenging the very constitution of India itself? This is erroneous statement to mislead, to peddle lies so that they can push their political agenda of us versus them.
See, this is unfortunate, and most of the time whenever I use the word snollycoster for Farooq Abdullah, he gets spit out by these words. I don't know why he gets spit out, and rightly said by Colonel Saab that in 1987, those whom he made to win and those whom he made to lose, they were all from Kashmir only. So who was local and who was non-local at that time when the election of 1987? Now let me tell you the statement which he's making about 1996. In 1996, from Doda, their candidate has won and he has taken 13,400 votes. And in 1987, the rigged election, same Doda was giving 13,100 votes to the winning candidate, and he is fortunately or unfortunately from National Conference. So how bizarre and obnoxious is this statement, you can very well understand, because people don't know what's the fact. That is why Farooq Abdullah can befool some people, but very well you know that he cannot befool all the people all the time. That is why I am here, just to tell you the truth of Farooq Abdullah. And we know very well, Farooq Abdullah, a person like Farooq Abdullah, he can go to any extent, because at that time, 1987, he did the same thing. When Bhuta Singh was Home Minister and he was taking care of the things in Jammu and Kashmir, at that time, hand in glove with Congress, they rigged the election, made winners to lose and losers to win. So he is having that habit of doing all these things. Now coming to the other part, because today he is re-elected as the president of National Conference, then why was this drama? Because a few days back, he stepped down as the president of National Conference. At that time, and many channels I have said that he is again going to come back, because for National Conference is a party of the Abdullahs, by the Abdullahs, and for the Abdullahs. So nobody else can ever take this.
But let me take across that question to the spokesperson of National Conference, Ifra Jan. How do you defend the statement of Mr. Farooq Abdullah, your National Conference chief? Is he not lying? Does he not know about the fact that how these transfer postings and deployment takes place, which is purely based on eligibility and seniority of a given officer? Or does he feign ignorance that he did not know about how these transfers take place? This is only to push the agenda and peddle lies to mislead the people of the valley.
You see, you can actually launch a campaign, a propaganda campaign against Farooq Abdullah Sahab, which we have seen the BJP people do. Or you can respond to Dr. Farooq Abdullah Sahab with facts and give him the statistics of the local versus non-local senior posts in Jammu and Kashmir right now and compare it to 5 years earlier. And that way, the BJP government can prove that what Farooq Abdullah Sahab is saying is not true. But so far, we see that BJP government is not really responding to what Dr. Farooq Sahab is saying. It's not giving any statistics. It's not saying, listen, nothing like that is happening. We have had so many numbers of local employees, and similar thing is being continued according to the transfer policies and according to the constitution.
I would like to interject over there, Ms. Ifra Jan. I have cited at the beginning of the debate itself that as far as the deployments are concerned, there is one officer, Deepak Meena, who hails from Rajasthan but is presently the DM in Meerut. There's another gentleman who is Officer Pawan Kadian, who is a DM in Cooch Behar, a district in West Bengal, but hails from Haryana. There are absolutely nothing wrong with these deployments, madam. If Mr. Farooq Abdullah doesn't know how these postings and transfers take place, then he is definitely making an erroneous statement.
You see, he's not. Listen. If you just let me speak, I'll be able to make my point. We are not against non-locals. We know the IAS system. In fact, Jammu and Kashmir has had, in Jammu and Kashmir cadre, IAS cadre which we have had non-local officers for years. The question is, are the locals being deliberately sidelined? That is the question. And that you would get, and the data for that you would get, what are the transfer rate, promotion rate for KAS, KPS officers before the abrogation of Article 370? And why have those promotions of KAS and KPS officers suddenly stopped to IAS? which was a norm like any other state in
But
India.
Ms. Ifra Jahan, I don't think that is
So,
what
let
Mr.
me
Farooq
intervene.
Abdullah was
Let me
hinting
intervene.
at. But
Let
let
me
me also
intervene.
bring in, let me bring in Majid Hyderi.
I have a second point to make. When Mr. Colonel Dimi here, a respected panelist, says that the Indian administration was responsible for rigging in 1987, it is perfectly fine and a nationalist statement to make. When Dr. Farooq Abdullah says that administration was part of rigging, he gives his anecdotal statement, he becomes an anti-national. आप कहें एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रिगिंग करती है तो आप नेशनलिस्ट बन जाते हैं. फारूक साहब कहें एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रिगिंग करती है, वो एंटी नेशनल बन जाते हैं. His central point was the administration.
So let me bring in Mr. Majid Hyderi over here. Mr. Hyderi, which side do you stand? Do you support the statement made by Mr. Farooq Abdullah? Don't you agree that's an anti-constitutional statement that he has made? Transfer, posting, deployments of IAS officers or gazetted officers has got nothing to do from the area, region, territory that they are hailing from. And this is nothing really that Mr. Farooq Abdullah can even promise that he's going to bring an end to it because it's enshrined in our very constitution.
Well, madam, some of the finest officers who have played iconic innings in Jammu and Kashmir, be it from police or civil administration, they have been non-locals. And the irony remains that even Dr. Farooq Saab was the chief minister, Ashok Jaitley ji and BR Singh, two non-local bureaucrats, used to be in his inner coterie, privy to all his secret activities or be his governance. So that is not the point. What Dr. Farooq Saab wanted to say is that this time BJP government in the center has given a free hand to some non-local bureaucrats to go on for loot, even loot of Modi ji's generous funding for Jammu and Kashmir. And there is ruthless corruption in Kashmir this time. There is no denying the fact. So the point is that New Delhi, the BJP government, the Modi government needs to make bureaucracy accountable, because as of now, we have no the bureaucrats who are there. And when Pradhan Mantri ji calls him Pradhan Sevak, why shouldn't these civil servants be made accountable for what they are doing and how they are making a public alienation rise day by day across Jammu and Kashmir? Not only Kashmir, Jammu people are feeling more alienated this time because of arrogance and corruption of the bureaucracy.
Mr. Abhijit Jasrotia, who is the spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Jasrotia, how do you respond to this allegation that Majid Hyderi is making? He is saying that the BJP is misusing these officers to push their political agenda. They are trying to turn the tables around at the BJP, saying that because this happens is why Mr. Farooq Abdullah made that statement.
See how bizarre is that? Now he's telling that Farooq Abdullah is trying to say that somebody is making corruption over them. Who is talking about corruption? Who is already having a 135 crore corruption cricket scam, JKC scam, for which he's already, called by the judiciary for all those things. And that cricket scam in which he has looted the balls and cricket bats and pads of the small innocent youth of Kashmir. So that person will talk about the corruption. That's quite bizarre, and I don't.
Okay, I will have to interject you over there, Mr. Abhijit, because I have to bring in Mr. Colonel Dinny over here. Mr. Colonel Dinny, you've heard the entire debate, you've heard various perspectives, but when it comes to questioning the integrity of these officers or gazetted officers, they really have got nothing to do with where they are deployed. What is your stand on it?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. There is no debate required. I think each of the panelists here also understands that what is an Indian administrative service and what they're supposed to do. And I don't think that is being debated. What my underlining point and what my personal experience also says is that Kashmir has been failed not by the people. Kashmir has been failed by the politicians of Kashmir, the local politicians of Kashmir. That includes Mr. Farooq Abdullah and all the other. I'm just taking one name, but everybody. And that is why today you're in a situation where still the Indian army is present there to precisely to recover those things. So it is very easy to throw stones at Indian army because there is nobody who's going to come and defend. But Mr. Farooq Abdullah should remember that this is not Pakistan or Pakistan
Absolutely,
army,
sir. Thank you so much, Colonel Dinny, for getting us your views on the story. And this is a sense of collective responsibility when it comes to the politicians of Jammu and Kashmir, whether they want to peddle lies to push their agenda and mislead the people at large in Jammu and Kashmir, or for that matter, they want to try and really give the real picture that the people of Jammu and Kashmir deserve. Thank you, Mr. Abhijit Jasrotia, Irfa Jahan, and for that matter, Majid Hyderi and Colonel Dinny for joining us with your views on this debate here at The Big Focus. That's all we have for you on this edition. For more news and updates, keep watching Mirror Now.